Now onto the women's pairs. From an original entry of just 10, these are the 6 finalists who include in lane 4 the defending world champions, Canada's Alison Korn and Emma Robinson. Well, facing you in lane 1, Britain's Catherine Bishop, presently studying German literature at Reading. Behind her, primary school teacher Dorothy Blackie. Dot and Kath to their teammates.
Well, I think the Canadians have got, they are so outstanding. It's going to be interesting to see how much water they can put between them and everybody else. They really are an extremely good pair. They row so well together, and here already they've moved into the lead.
Well, this was the tactic. I was having a chat last night down with Al Moreau, and he was making it clear that they go through all the opposition very carefully, and they knew that they would want to make a positive start, whatever. They take nothing for granted.
Well, that's right, but they also like to take advantage of this nice flat water. I think the first part here, the first 500 meters, they want to see if they can establish some dominance in the first part of the race so that they can then cope with the rough water later on in whatever way they can. But here, already they've got about 3/4 of a length and looking very, very good. And in second place, Britain on the far side there in lane 1, moving very well indeed.
Yes, that's Dot and Kath under the tutorship of Mike Spracklin for Great Britain, who's made a great deal of progress in his work and guidance for the British women's squad.
Well, the British women's squad have had more medal results in the last year and a half than they've had up until this time in their history. They are doing so well, particularly in the small boats here. They've got a very, very good regime there. Their training is extremely good. They're very focused. And with the double and the pair here, and last year's gold medal 4, they really have broken onto the scene in a very, very major way.
That's the Americans going through. They're doing pretty well at the moment. They've only been together for 5 weeks, so that is a handicap.
It is indeed. It's not that much of a handicap. They're sitting there in second place, really heading the race for the other medals, because it looks very much as if Canada's well out in front. Here the experienced Romanians seem to be having a bit of a struggle with the rough water there. They're not as comfortable as they usually look. They're a bit tentative, and they're sitting there now just back in 5th place.
Yes, last year's silver medalist, this partnership, as we switch to the leaders for Canada. They're very tall and they've got good length and good levers. Well,
the main thing is how well they are together. They're terribly well together, and they drop the blade in and lock it on immediately with the leg drive. Beautiful, beautiful connection, really linked up between the arms, the back and the legs.
Yes, they're just going under the motorway bridge there. Sorry to interrupt you, Dan, just to give you another little guide to the course. That's about 650 metres, but as you see, they're now striding on towards the halfway point, and they're in perfect position. They can look left and right, and if anybody's got the strength or the disrespect to challenge them, they can respond.
And look, you see how well they're coping now with the rough water there. They can sit there very solid at 33 strokes a minute and just watch the rest of the field. And at the moment, it's the United States that have taken up the chase, with Russia there and Great Britain on lane 1 in close attendance. So it's really between these 3 now for the silver medal. And the United States looking nice and long there, good powerful stuff, but rating quite high in the middle of the course.
Yes, this is very encouraging for the United States. The man who looks after their crews, Hartmut Buschbacher, and he'll be pleased to see them in second place at the moment. The British, as you say, in third, just about ahead of the Russians. The Romanians just beginning to ease themselves into contention, at least for a medal. But the Canadians striding away at the moment as they are now into the second half of the race.
But look how much longer and stronger they are, and totally dominant in the way that they're rowing compared to the others. Here, the Americans are just a little bit pecky there. They're sliding a bit too quickly. They're just grabbing it, and I think they're a bit anxious. I think they look as if they've got the pressure of the other crews coming up onto them, and that's putting them under a lot of pressure in this rough water. But it's Russia now beginning to move up as well. But here a nice chance to see how relaxed and easy the style of the Canadian world champions is. Here they are, defending champions, and no one really is going to stop them.
Yes, they came out of the Canadian 8 that finished in silver medal position in the Atlanta Olympics. And since they got together, well, they haven't looked back at all. They've just kept progressing. And you've got to say, even at this distance out, they are the crew who are already in people's notebooks as the potential Olympic champions for Sydney 2000.
I think that's right. Russia beginning to have a struggle there in the second half here as the water gets worse and worse. And they're dropping back a bit. United States still moving well there, rating a little bit higher than the crews around them and holding on to second place pretty well. The others have got a lot to do. Great Britain and Romania, they've got a lot to do there if they want to try and contend, fight it out for this silver medal. It's the United States in second place, but Canada well out in front and moving away with every stroke.
And encouraging for British fans there, a move on the far side by Dot and Kath, and they're now responding to the pressure that's being put on them by the Romanians. And this is important now. They've really responded well on the far side.
They're moving up very fast there. The American crew looked as if they were having more trouble than the rest with the rough water, and it's Great Britain now as they come into the last 500 who are in third place and trying to move up on the United States.
So all to play for silver and bronze medals, but the Canadians well over a length and a half clear. They really are making every stroke a winning one now.
They're still solid at 33, not having to raise the rate at all because they're in command. Just beginning now to turn on the pressure there, but look, that's 2.5 lengths clear, and Great Britain has moved right up there, moving now, challenging for second place. It's Great Britain, Romania and the United States fighting it out for that silver medal.
Yes, that's Dorothy Blackie on the right of your picture there in the bow, who began back in 1989 her rowing career up in Edinburgh. And sitting in front of her, Catherine Bishop, who learned to row at Leigh-on-Sea in Essex. But those two now are looking for that silver medal. They're getting the better of the argument now with the Americans. The Canadians have gone for home now, and the fight is on for that minor medal, with the Romanians not entirely out of it at the moment. But Canada getting the applause. This has been a quality performance by those two. But look at the fight for silver and bronze here. The Americans trying to find a little bit of extra. The British on the far side looking smooth here, and still just with the bow of their boat ahead of the Americans.
Fantastic finish here. The British pair who had so much difficulty last year, they had illness last year and had to drop out of the championships. Here now, they're fighting for that silver medal. United States holding them off. It's great finishing here from these two crews, but it's Canada out in front, coming in at 38 with just a few strokes to go. World champions again, and who's going to get that silver medal? Very close. Looks like Great Britain just ahead of the United States, and Romania in fourth, Russia in fifth, and Denmark in sixth.
Well, they are a quality act. But hats off to these two young British fighters. They fought and they've earned themselves a very good silver.
Great performance there to come from a good length and a half down on the United States, to come right back there into that position and take the silver medal.
So the champions defend their title and will now, after a short break, resume training with the aim of completing a hat-trick of victories next year on home Canadian water at St Catharines. High-class performance by the Canadian.